Hello and welcome to Worldview. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Biakuran. A very good evening to you. And today on Worldview, with war in Ukraine showing no signs of letting up, Russia continues to attract sanctions from the international community. We will look into new EU sanctions targeting Russian military-industrial complex. You will be kept abreast of developments from the 4-month-old protests in Iran as the people remain undeterred by security clampdown. We are also monitoring events in the EU as months of political wrangling end, with leaders adopting global minimum 15% tax on multinationals. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First on Worldview today, European Union says its latest round of sanctions will hit Russia's military-industrial complex, as well as people and groups that are attacking Ukrainian civilians or kidnapping children. The European Commission Vice President Valdis Dombrovskis said the package will deal a blow to 168 entities, companies or state organizations, as well as 24 individuals. The 9th package of EU punitive measures against Russia for its war in Ukraine was approved by EU leaders at a summit yesterday and formally adopted today by written procedure. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the package also focuses on tech, finance and media to push the Russian economy and war machine further off the rails. Meanwhile, Ukraine says the metro system in the capital will remain out of service for the rest of the day after Russian strikes targeted electricity infrastructure. In a statement online, Kyiv city officials announced that due to damage to the power system and emergency power outages, subway trains would not run until the end of the day. They added that underground stations will operate in shelter mode at the same time. In the meantime, Ukraine's defense chiefs have warned that Russia is expected to launch a new offensive early next year that could include a second attempt to take the capital, Kyiv. President Volodymyr Zelensky, General Valery Zaluzhny, and General Alexander Syrsky told newsmen that Moscow's new offensive could happen as soon as January. The official said the push could be launched from the eastern Donbas area, the south or neighboring Belarus, and could include another ground assault on Kyiv, which Moscow failed to capture early in the invasion. In a related development, Russia has launched at least 76 missiles at Ukrainian energy facilities and other infrastructure in its latest wave of deadly attacks that have caused widespread power outages across the country. The bombardment today hit at least 4 cities, killing at least 2 people in the central city of Kryvyi Rih. 1 person died in southern Kherson region, where an apartment block caught fire from shelling that preceded the missile strikes. According to regional authorities, the governor of the Kiev region, Alexei Kuleba, said Russia was massively attacking Ukraine in the latest coordinated wave of raids, which have shelled Ukrainian infrastructure since October. Still on the crisis now in Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin will visit Belarus on Monday for talks with his counterpart and ally Alexander Lukashenko. Moscow announced that the pair will discuss Russian-Belarusian integration as well as current topics on the international and regional agenda. The visit comes 10 months into Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which was launched from several directions, including Belarusian territory. Minsk had announced the visit earlier today, and the presidential office said the leaders will hold one-on-one talks as well as wider negotiations with their ministers on Belarusian-Russian integration. To more developments from the war now, the European Commission has approved the acquisition of Uniper SC by the German government. This paves the way for nationalizing the gas trading firm, which nearly collapsed after Russia stopped supplying gas. The acquisition was approved under the EU merger regulation after the Commission concluded it would raise no competition concerns. Gazprom used to be Uniper's biggest gas supplier, but deliveries were reduced in mid-year and entirely halted at the end of August, forcing Uniper to buy gas elsewhere at much higher prices to meet existing contracts. Now, we will hear from the WHO, which blames cholera surge across the world on climate change. That will be after the short break. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. Let's move on now to Iran, where dozens took to the streets today in the country's restive southeast as a wave of protests sparked by Mahsa Amini's death entered a fourth month. The Islamic Republic has seen waves of protests since the September 16 death in custody of Amini, a 22-year-old Iranian Kurd who had been arrested for allegedly violating the country's strict dress code for women. Hundreds of people have reportedly been killed and thousands arrested in the unrest, leading to international condemnation, sanctions, and Iran's removal from the UN Women's Rights Body. Elsewhere, the United Nations peacekeeping force in South Lebanon has urged Beirut to ensure a speedy investigation into an Irish soldier's shooting death near the Israeli border. The Irish military recalled that the peacekeepers' convoy had come under fire late Wednesday near the village of Al-Aqbiya, wounding 3 other members of the UN force, UNIFIL. Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati and Army Chief Joseph Aoun today visited the UNIFIL headquarters in the border town of Nakura, denouncing the attack that claimed Private Sean Rooney's life. UNIFIL spokesman Andrea Tenenti called it a very serious incident and told reporters it was important for the Lebanese authorities to bring the perpetrators to justice. Away from that now, Japan has said it would begin a $320 billion military buildup that would arm it with missiles capable of striking China and ready it for a sustained conflict as regional tensions and Russia's Ukraine invasion stoke war fears. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's government reportedly worries that Russia has set a precedent that will encourage China to attack Taiwan. This threatens nearby Japanese islands, disrupts supplies of advanced semiconductors, and puts a potential stranglehold on sea lanes that supply Middle East oil. Now, Japan's post-World War II constitution does not officially recognize the military and limits it to nominally self-defensive capabilities. In another development, Serbian government has asked the NATO peacekeeper commander to allow the country to send up to 1,000 police and army personnel to Kosovo. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić confirmed this to newsmen. It is reportedly the first time Belgrade has requested to deploy troops in Kosovo since the United Nations Security Council resolution ended the 1998 to 1999 war, during which NATO bombed Rom Yugoslavia, comprising Serbia and Montenegro, to protect Albanian majority Kosovo. Vučić said the government had emailed the request and will physically hand it to the NATO mission in Kosovo at a border crossing today. The request comes during a spate of clashes between Kosovo authorities and Serbs in the northern region where they constitute a majority. Now in business, Russia's central bank today held its key interest rate at 7.5% for a second consecutive meeting, but noted that inflationary risks are rising. Reports say the Bank of Russia has cut rates 6 times so far this year. The key rate was held steady at 7.5% in October, following a September reduction of 50 basis points, down from 8% prior. The Bank of Russia last raised rates in late February, following Moscow's invasion of Ukraine, taking the key rate from 9.5% to 20% at the time. In its statement today, the bank said consumer prices are currently growing at a moderate rate, while consumer demand is subdued. Still in business now, European Union has adopted a plan for a global minimum 15% tax on multinational businesses. after leaders gave final approval following months of wrangling. The landmark agreement between nearly 140 countries is intended to stop governments racing to cut taxes to lure the world's richest firms to their territory. EU's Economic Commissioner Paolo Gentiloni said the bloc was taking a crucial step towards tax fairness and social justice. The plan was drawn up under the guidance of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and already had the backing of Washington and several major EU economies. However, the implementation of the minimum tax in the 27-nation European Union has already been delayed as member states raised objections or adopted blocking tactics. In health, the World Health Organization has warned that climate change is fueling a global cholera upsurge. The global health body said the situation was compounded by vaccine shortages and will only worsen unless it is stamped out soon. According to reports, the WHO is responding to cholera outbreaks in 29 countries, including Haiti, which has more than 1,200 confirmed cases, more than 14,000 suspected cases, and more than 280 reported deaths. This week, Haiti received almost 1.2 million doses of oral cholera vaccines. And finally, on Worldview today, the popular miniature tabletop war game Warhammer is to be made into a film and TV program. Henry Cavill will star in an executive produce the adaptation, which he called a nigh-on lifelong dream come true. UK firm Games Workshop, which makes the game, said it had reached an agreement in principle for Amazon to develop its intellectual property. It confirmed that the project will initially involve developing the Warhammer 40,000 universe. The news comes just days after Cavill confirmed he will not be returning to play Superman in the DC Comics universe. With that, we wrap up our package for you on Worldview today. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. My name is Xavier Robert, reaching you from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran, and you have been watching Worldview on Spectrum TV. Do enjoy the rest of your day and happy weekend ahead. Bye-bye.